When you begin your webinar, make sure that you prepare people for your sale at the end. Hey guys, so today we're going to be talking about how to grow your business with webinars. And this is very important because it is one that really does work. And if you get it down right, you can bring a consistent stream of clients and customers into your business. So I highly recommend that you really learn how to do webinars. And today I'm going to talk to you about my experiences around this and some of the tips that I can give you to succeed. Okay, so number one, when I started and I did my first webinar, I used Russell Brunson's template for the presentation. And I highly recommend if you are new and doing webinars that you take advantage of his template. It's amazing. Actually also gone out there and bought other people's little packages with their emails and all that kind of stuff, and they just didn't work as well. So here are a couple of things that I have learned. Number one, stick with the script. And make sure that you do not solve people's problems inside the webinar if you're trying to sell them the answer to that problem. That was the number one thing that I've had to learn when doing webinars. The very first one that I ever did, I actually sold, like $50,000, right, in 30 minutes. It was the very first one I did, and I didn't know enough, so I stuck to the script and it was successful. And that is really true, I think, especially for coaches that love to help people and love to solve problems like myself, and you love to teach. You're not going to sell things if you give people the solution, or if you even give them a little bit of the solution because they think, well, now I know the answer and I'm not going to buy, right? So that is by far the biggest thing that you've got to remember when you're doing a webinar. So what you really want to focus on when you do a webinar is talk about the problem or problems and struggles that your ideal customer is having. You want to talk about what they've been going through, what they've been experiencing, and you can even talk about yourself and what you've been going through and what you experienced, right? And then all you have to say is that you found a solution and you would love to guide them through the same process, right? People don't necessarily care about how you're going to do it. They want the end result. So if you're putting together a webinar, remember that. If you want people to buy your products and services, do not solve the problem inside the webinar. I've done that too many times because you probably really care and you really want to help. But don't do that until they pay you to do so, okay? The next thing I want to talk to you about are some of the automations and things that are really helpful to have when you're doing a webinar. Now, I've used Webinar Jam, I've used Evergreen Webinar, I've used all different services to try and do a webinar. I've even used Zoom. Now, I think Zoom is great. Of course, Webinar Jam is great because it allows you to do, different things, and it's got all kinds of bells and whistles. I've had some connection issues around Webinar Jam. There's always emerging different technologies you can use. So you just got to pick the one that's going to work for you. One that you're going to be able to engage with the people that attend your webinar and that you're going to be able to do a presentation. Here's a couple of tips. One, you want to make sure that people subscribe and there's a subscription area so that people actually will opt in and they'll actually get reminders and all of that, and then they'll actually get access to a recording afterwards. The recording is very important because most people that are going to purchase are going to do so on your live webinar, but you can also continue to make sales even though people watch the recording if you do your webinar correctly, if you are actually selling and not solving. All right, so make sure that you've got all those automations set up, and whatever service you're using, it either provides it or you're going to set those things up yourself. So you want somebody to be able to get reminders that it's coming, reminders that it's in a couple of hours or in a couple of days. Make sure people know, because it's not going to be on the top of their mind. They probably opted in just on a whim because they were curious, and now you've got to make sure that they're going to attend. Unless they're in your email list and they're devoted to you and they're really excited. So make sure that they get all of these reminders. After you actually do the webinar, you want to make sure to have follow-ups and make sure that people can watch the replay and make sure that you can follow up with people to see if they want to purchase. Now, if you have a smaller a group of people that attend. Let's say you have a small audience and it's not hundreds and it's, you know, not a super big webinar. Follow up with those people and find out what is holding them back from your program. I think that that's one thing that people miss out on when you're a smaller company. When you're a smaller company, you have that ability. When numbers start to get really, really big, you don't. And you're always going to stand out if you are somebody that is reaching out. You're also going to learn. You're going to learn from the feedback from people of maybe why they didn't buy. And if you start to hear the same thing over and over again, you know how to adjust your webinar. Okay, the other thing is that a lot of people record the webinars and they'll just put them on autoplay. They'll keep the chat in there and everything, and it looks like it's live, but it takes you 5 seconds and you realize it's not live. So I highly recommend that if you have something like that, not to have the everyone's live chats and everything in there. You know, make it known that it's a recorded one. And you don't want to record it until you've done it a million times and you've perfected it. So don't just do it once and go, oh, that was over, I recorded it, now I'm just gonna put it up on a website and keep replaying it. That isn't the best approach to take. So always do live whenever you possibly can. If your business is fairly fresh and new and you don't have tons of people that are just gonna flood into your webinars, you can absolutely do ads to get people to opt in. And this is probably one of the most successful types of ads that people have done online to get clients and leads pretty quickly. And so if you are really in need of customers and really in need of selling your services, do a webinar. Set it up and, you know, start with the basics. Start with Zoom if that is a little bit more affordable for you, and just do a webinar to sell your products and services and see if it works for you. And most people can bring in at least a few clients, and then all you have to do is start getting some testimonies and you are on your way. The last thing I want to mention is that when you begin your webinar, make sure that you prepare people for your sale at the end. So what you want to tell them is, hey guys, you know, I'm going to share all of this information with you, you know, that's promised that I've promised to share with you today. At the end of this, I really want to share how, you know, I can continue to help you if you need more help. Is that okay? And, you know, people will like, yeah, you could tell me. Asking people to sell to them in the beginning is actually going to help that transition, that transition from giving them information and everything to going right into a sale. It's not going to feel salesy as long as you get permission. And so the next thing is when you get to that transition of going from here's all this information, now I'm going to tell you how you can, you know, work with me and get more help. You want to say, remember in the beginning of this webinar, I said to you that I was going to share with you how you can continue to get more help from me. And for those of you that, you know, want to continue on this journey. And, you know, everyone will say, yeah, I remember that. And then you go into your spiel. I also highly recommend that you offer some sort of free, cool thing that people would really appreciate at the end of the webinar, like a PDF of some sort of resource. That's something that I've done, that if they watch to the very end, they will get access to that PDF. Just make sure that you deliver on that, especially if something is recorded and you're going to offer that on the recording, and make sure that there is a way for you to get that to people in the live, like upload it, that sort of thing. And that will get people to stay to the end and actually listen to your sales pitch. And remember, when you're selling, you are not just showing them what they get. You are talking about their problem, and then your sales pitch is, this is the solution to your problem. So if you structure your webinars like that, chances are you will succeed. So guys, thank you so much for subscribing to my YouTube channel, and we'll see you tomorrow.